No, it was weird. Yeah, I don't know. See, his face told me it was weird too. He's like, oh.
Should be good. Should be good to start. I'm just gonna go ahead and get Teal's presentation set up.
All right, sounds great. Okay, let's call our meeting to order. We begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Flag is right there behind us on the wall. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. If anyone is going to be wanting to make a public comment, then please sign in on the list that Stephanie has at the table, or make an indication in the chat if you are in the Zoom meeting. Okay, we are up to item number 2, agenda changes.
We don't have any.
Yeah, we do.
Superintendent's evaluation. The agenda went out before it's been published. We have to announce that now.
Yeah, and that executive session will be ORS 192.66025. Okay, we are at consent agenda and we are approving the minutes of the March 10th meeting.
I will move that we approve the March 10th minutes or the consent agenda as written.
I will second. Okay, I have a motion. I have a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all of those who approve the consent agenda, please raise your hand. It's unanimous. Public input. Jared, did we have any public input in the Zoom? Okay, Stephanie, do we have any there? All right, awesome. Then, okay. Okay, then we are moving right along to our educational spotlight, which is Teal Fleming with the Tools of the Mind program and kindergarten development. Aaron?
Few people, I was gonna make you do a freeze dance with me. But I decided to mute and say, wow, that wouldn't go over so well. We still have a lot of music to go. But it's a really fun part of the curriculum where I put some notes down. I'd like to talk to little kids all day long. Happy to serious, even though you're.
Would it help if we sit on the floor?
Just sit down.
That's all.
So like the freeze dance, for example, is part of this new curriculum where in the past I've done freeze dance forever, and Greg and Steve do a really good version of freeze dance, and they do this rock and roll song and then it stops 6 times. And of course, when the song stops, all the kids are supposed to freeze. But for years in the past, it would just be like strike a pose, Madonna sort of stuff. But with this new curriculum, they are really working on self-regulation. And so we have these cards of stick figures. And so part of that is making plans all day long instead of just crashing forward in the day. So I'll hold up the cards before the song freezes and the kids are supposed to make a plan of what that pose is. So they're working on, this like the future instead of this current moment, living in that present moment, which is really fun too. But so for example, if the card was like this, we're all dancing, we're boogieing around, and I'm sure some of you have walked by and gone, oh my gosh, that song again. But so they make a plan, and then when the music stops, sure enough, they're all doing this one pose, and it's so much, it's just precious. And so as the year progresses, they get harder until as we introduce buddies, for example, then they know their buddy and they see him across the way and they have to get to their buddy and they got to make a plan together. And then they might go like this again when the song freezes and they know to do that. And then you can even make a 2-step freeze dance where, let's say I put the cards up on the board and then I write above them sight words and then I just open sight words. So we get more and more complicated. So when the song freezes, they know she, and then they have to look she over here and so on. So I'm not gonna make you do that. Right? Just explained it for a long time. But this is, this is it here. And as a lot of you know, and I was told to kind of touch base on how we started as half-day program. Well, full day, half day, worked out a lot of kinks. It was a really big class and behaviors were extra. You had to, address some stuff and get to know all the kids. So once that happened, we were able to halfway through merge. And I had a parent ask me the other day, are they kind of staying in their like ducks and chickens groups? And they're not. They're like, they blended so beautifully together and they were so ready to all be together. And it was still a transition. Jared probably knows there was some maybe long nights again and tired kiddos, but I feel like they were very ready. And if we'd kept them separate, it wouldn't have given them the opportunity to grow that much more. So this is actually the kinder camp. Boys already knew each other, but I just love how they right away they were making their own chicka chicka boom boom trees, and they're very yeah, I guess I'm mostly talking about tools of the mind, right? I mean, that's what this is where I feel really special. I'm getting my own curriculum this year. Kinder is its own creature, and it's kind of just pushed in there with the big kids. It's such a transitional year, and I think it really does need to be addressed differently than first grade. They're not ready to just sit in a chair all day, and they really need to get to know each other and build that community, especially around here when a lot of them are going to spend the next 12 years together. And let's make it get off to a good start. So this is in the beginning, they start out with 3 fairy tales, and it's the 3 billy goats gruff, 3 pigs, and Goldilocks, and 3 bears. And so we learn those stories really well. They learn to dramatize them, where we act them out as a group on the carpet, and that's comprehension right there. And then later in the day, they go to their own individual centers and they actually reenact the whole story again. And that right there just covers so many bases for that age group. I see like Jesus. Definitely does. And so this actually, though, while I was getting my feet on the ground, this is my year for scaffolding myself as well. Like I'm learning so much, but I plugged in an extra story of the Gruffalo by Julia Donaldson, trying to understand how this curriculum worked. And so this is the fox, and we've got a mouse over there, and this is an owl. The kiddos make most of their own sets, so they act it out. When they're acting it out, that's building the self-regulation right there. They practice being assigned roles from the story, and then their peers assign them roles, and they learn to handle that. They help remind each other how the story went. So there's a lot of talking it through, correcting, self-correcting. So it's co-regulation and self-regulation. There's a lot of buy-in. Sorry, let's get up there. A lot of buy-in because it's really fun. And they want to play the plays, and they want to do all the fun stuff and show their friends that they know the story. And of course, there's still some like hiding under tables and stuff. That's part of it. So here's the 3 little pigs. And another thing that they start off doing is they do a lot of making a plan. So before they're excused to centers, they first might even write a plan. Like, who do you want to, before they're given roles, might be, okay, are you going to, you want to build a house, or do you want to be a pig? And they'll write it out, and then they practice starting to go do that. So again, it's like a freeze dance where you have to think forward into the future and then actually do it. It's not like, actually, I'm going to go over to now. A lot of that going on. So they're building here on the left, they're acting it out. And on the right, they built a really big, strong pig house out of bricks. And they're working together. Another reason they get really invested is they're making most of their own props. I definitely support that. But if I've supported it by building a bigger structure, then they're adding to it, and they're making a plan, and they just keep building on it for at least 3 weeks when we study one of the books, which I'll talk about later. Here we are just building more props. One example that I liked was we had toilet paper tubes, and when we do castles, or in medieval days, they built torches, and then those torches carried on through our stone soup feast. And so they're like, oh, I gotta put them on the table, and they like set them up on the table. And then those torches went into our ninja caves, and they like put them in the ninja caves. Like, oh, I need a torch. And then later the torches turned into telescopes. So they just kept going back to it and being like, we could still use this one thing. Here we go. Another part that I've noticed is really magical is that back in the dramatization center, for example, there's a lot of other stuff, but this one's they learned quickly how to dismantle or adjust each other's creations, but then learn to be okay with it and handle it and recognize that people are being respectful and how they can build on it, making those fine adjustments. And at that age, that can be a really big one. Not go, he ruined my creation, and you know, they can never change. And instead they're like, okay, you can move the castle over there. That does look good. And get some down there. And, you know, so here we've got a feast. We've got some castle food on the bottom, and they kept rebuilding this castle for 2 full weeks. So it was tall, it was flat, and they saw how many bits they could squish in without it breaking. All subjects are embedded within the Magic Treehouse books. So if you've ever read the Magic Treehouse books, there's a lot of them. We are hopefully getting through 12, and they follow Jack and Annie, which are some really great characters. Jack's kind of research nerd, and Annie's the adventuresome one. And they go on quests, and they end up in this treehouse. Raise your hand if you've ever read Magic Treehouse. Okay. So the great part about it is that it's all embedded. So there's social studies, there's science, there's social emotional, there's math, literacy, it's all in there. And so that's the magic part, which I wish could go forward into all the grades, is that it builds that continuum. It's the, oh my gosh, I have better words than now, my brain is done, but maybe I'll say it later. But here they are building bread, making bread, right? And so in that, we've got the literacy, the math, the social studies, science, there's art. We talked about yeast, we did all these things, and they got to do it. So it's that sense of purpose. And boy, did they ever want to come. They did not want to miss a moment of that. And it tasted really good too. Here we are dissecting and taste testing fruits from the medieval period while we looked for seeds. So first we pulled some out, we see if they would sprout. Like pomegranates who didn't. Kids brought the fruit in from home, you know, so they were sharing stuff. We could talk about that on the carpet. And then the other nice part is somehow the designers of the curriculum, when you're in medieval England, it happens to be fall. So you get to talk about deciduous trees, you can talk about harvesting crops. Then if I'm going to shift gears for a second, I already talked for 10 minutes. Okay, I'm going. I'm realizing I really like talking about this. So we have a mystery question in the morning. They'll come in and they take their name and they try and decide which one works. So, for example, here they are all doing it. They try and decode it together. They might correct each other's work. They might watch somebody else do it at a different spot. That's one of their first tasks in the morning. And this is one that kind of spontaneously happened out of this curriculum just because it was a nice setting. Because now every day they sign in, they just sign their name in. So that's name practice right there. And it's become one of my favorites. It wasn't from the curriculum, but they were like, we need a sign-in sheet. And so they take turns writing the date. And then they have not been ripping the page. I would say previous years, you'd get kiddos that would scribble all over it or poke holes or rip a page off. And they love this thing. They're very respectful of each other's names. Sometimes they decorate out around each other's names, but it's a lot of name practice. And this is our day. I won't go over it all, but it's a solid day now that we're full day kindergarten. Maybe next year we'll have Barbie, but we worked it in for sure. So we start with the opening group, talk about our day. They share the news with a buddy. We do all the regular morning maintenance, making sure we're all on the same page. We do pledge allegiance, pledge to ourselves. We sing some songs. We do some different self-regulating, just getting back on track, getting our bodies ready for the day. And then another part of tools is they teach reading through writing, which is kind of the opposite of what I used to believe. I knew a lot about Waldorf and sorry, and a lot of it was like, don't push the pencil too much, but harm is what's happened for these kids to be able to communicate through their writing. They want to write little notes to each other and they want to draw a picture and have you to participate with the adults that way. And I've just seen so much growth. And oh, wait, real quick. Then after this, they go to the reading group with Miss J, and it's awesome. It double downs on everything. It's a different approach, it's a different style, it's a different voice, which is great. And they're just getting so much more reading support from that. So I'm seeing the two connecting really, really well together. Then they come in for some graphics and they practice more writing, and it's all game based. So there's like freeze writing where they stop when music stops. They, yeah, they give them clues like for in, curve out. What letter is that? See if we can all build it together. We do it to music. Some that have really struggled are becoming really proud of their abilities, and it's really awesome. They'd love to show me the work. And yeah, the growth is just really exciting. Today, a few of them just did, they've actually on the back of these boards, it's the line version, and they are naturally flipping it now on their own. And they're just wanting to switch to the lines, and they're writing inside the lines. Not all of them, but some of them. Just filling it with E's and S's and whatever we're working on for the day. And then we go to centers. All this is very game based. So the math, it's just really interactive, and I'm just loving the takeaway of all the different games that I'm being introduced to. But that again is my learning curve this year of like learning a new game every weekend. A lot of repetition too, so that they feel empowered about those. This is the I Have Who Has game, which I would love to make you play, but I know I'm already out of time. It's like the new and improved, way cooler version of flashcards. And they have to work together, and they see like if he has CL, and then they look at their cards and say like, well, what starts with the blend cool? And so then one would be like, you have clock, that starts with cool. And they put it down, and as they put it, they flip it over, and then they see what the next blend is. So this is a more advanced one. It starts with just letters, numbers. Now we're on to addition +2, and we're on to sight words. Is one of the many games. This is a student who is deaf. He has CI implants. And instead of using the walkie-talkies that we all designed so we could give each other directions, it's a lot of giving each other directions. She's using his Roger, so he can actually hear it really well. So that was like they were like, wait a second, he has an actual walkie-talkie. So precious. They just have cardboard ones they usually play with, because she has a design there, and then she's supposed to give him directions, like put a yellow block in the back, and then put a white block on top of the black. And she's not supposed to touch it, and he's not supposed to peek. That again, back to that like regulation. And it's just amazing. Of course, in the beginning, they do it at my center, and then they're empowered and skilled enough to go do it on their own and regulate each other. Doing some different experiments. It's one of the many games where they sound out words. They are, as the I Have Who Has game have gotten more advanced, the teams can get bigger, and they can work with buddies, or they can work alone. There's a team captain now who actually is in charge of the team, which is a big step to be like, okay, I'm in charge and I'm handing out the cards, and you have to wait, and they are cleaning up. They get it out of the must-do basket. They put it away so they can do their can-dos. My favorite is there's this one kiddo that's like, and please don't sit on the card. It makes it really frustrating. But so they're telling each other like, it's not fun when you do that. And they're listening better than ever. Here's more games, just more self-regulation embedded in all of it, so that it's just challenging enough for them, but they're also in charge. And then we're able to get onto buddy reading. And I just like these pictures because it's a reminder to me that at the beginning of the year, we would not have been able to read around baby chicks. And we are doing that now. home. And we also are able to have the fourth grade come in and read with us and just know how to quietly with something. Here we are in Egypt, buddy reading. Oh, I'm gonna skip that one real quick because I showed this name, sorry. Here's our pirate ship in this year. So in the books, like we go dinosaurs, medieval England, and what did we do? I think we went to the pyramids. Yeah, mummies in the morning, pirates past noon. And I loved it when Darren was subbing for Jackie as a custodian. He'd come in and go, "Where are you going now?" I'm like, "You're going to the ninjas." He's like, "Oh, my kindergarten." I was like, "Yeah, it's working." But it just seemed like from one like violent thing to another. It was like pirates and mummies and ninjas. They didn't take on those vibes. I mean, I don't know what Melody talks about when she comes home, but
I'm starting to understand a lot more.
it draws into the next. So
Oh,
once we
yeah.
finish the pirates, they know they were going, like it all starts to come down. They're like, "Where are we going, teacher?" And or Miss Fleming, hopefully. And then they like, "I don't know, we got to see what it's going to start to look like." And so then like things start to appear. And then we spend a whole week learning about the place we're going to go. And it's way more classic schooling. And then we start to read the book and it goes, okay, there's to Japan. We had kiddos bring bones in to examine when we're in the Ice Age. We had a guest who had an awesome kimono and shared Japanese food with us. The Amazon completely took over. It was out of control. We loved it. And they even decided, because this is our canoe for going down the Amazon. Over here, I don't know if the arrow's gonna work, but there's a little sign up there. They all were like, "We need some rules." Okay, 2 at a time. Wrote it down, like no falling out of the canoe on purpose, things like that. It's good. And then when they're done, they can do the can-dos. So yeah, the centers are different every day. I don't need to go into all that, but we have a class pet, Peanut, who's also in the book. And she mostly sleeps all day, but we can go do puzzles with Peanut when we're done with our work. I'm just really glad they get to do more things. We're able to go on a field trip, and that's this is Miss Raymond, and she works with Wally. She's our interpreter. She's awesome. Makes me want a full-time aide next year. Just cuteness, and just wrapping it up with parts where it's like I know that getting to this part of the year, any year, it's easier because they're almost first graders. But I really feel like this curriculum has given them this whole other sense of community. And I'm really feeling it right now. So this is our stone soup bus ride for the first time. Olivia just wanting to make cards for fun and wanting to make sure it was just right before we took it down the hallway. Leprechaun trap. And this is a good picture for me because I do think previous years would have gone a lot crazier, but they had their trays and they did an awesome job of handling way too many materials on one table and making leprechaun traps. We still didn't catch them. They handled it. And just at the end of the year. So yeah, it was so cute. I know I took up way too much time, and I'm sorry. But thank you for listening. I brought in a lot of papers. Skyler brought in this really nice printout of a little bit more about tools of the mind. So I'm going to put it here. Is that okay? The small one. I brought more stuff, but I ain't looking for stuff. Yes, please.
What is peanut?
What is Peanut?
Yes.
Well, in the book, Peanut's a mouse. But Mrs. Raymond really doesn't like real mice. It is so cute.
Question.
Yeah.
This program,
Yeah.
is it used a lot of places, or are you kind of like, is it for Orford as a cutting edge? Or I'm just curious how much is used elsewhere in the state
I don't know
or in
that-
the nation?
I could best explain that. I mean, there's involved in that part of it, but
Okay.
my understanding it's more cutting edge, but it's
Uh-huh.
taking off. And Port Orford adopted, it's a really big deal. Yeah, Head Start starting to adopt it. And school has adopted it.
Yes.
Yeah.
That really is cool.
I think
That is
so. It's just a
amazing.
wonderful blend of all the different teaching styles that I've ever been exposed to. I feel like kind of coming together into something that's more realistic.
Mhm.
It's not some crazy extreme that then the kiddos have to go to first grade and be, jump into like, just be shocked by something so different. It really works with, maybe the older version of a lot of songs, a lot of finger plays, ways to capture the kids. But then it's also that reading through writing,
Mhm.
like some examples. I don't do really, but just the growth that I've seen. So they do a lot of lines to learn the separation between words. And so they start with that word. So they draw a picture and I keep track of where they're at with it all. You write their name and then it might be like Jack and Annie hide in a gold castle. And so he worked on his lines first. And then he's just does the beginning sounds. And then after the beginning sounds, they start doing the ending sounds. They start to fill it all in. And he wanted to do it twice, but that was October. And then he's starting to fill in the words like that. So it's like laid out. And so that's February. And then now we're doing learning plans as well, or learning goal for the week. And so he dropped the lines pretty much on his own. The lines just kind of went away and he's pretty much doing words. And so his learning plan is to sound out letters, which he's clearly doing. Check throughout the week. Also, this kiddo cracked me up. He took notes the other day. It really is. I mean, I tried to, in the moment I knew what it is, but it's about the ocean and schools and packs and they fall on when they find food. And he just was like, I give that as an option. You want to take notes, like draw pictures and stuff. And it's just like, yeah.
That was one of the comments I was going to share is I want to thank Skydra for making this available for us, introducing it to us and getting us on board. And obviously Teal has taken it and run with it. I see some incredible things happening with it and hoping that we can scaffold that and continue to build on it at the older grades because dysregulated younger students, as you're aware, are one of the bigger issues nationwide, statewide, and for us. And I see this having a real impact. And so thank you for including us and finding it. It is innovative. And I want to thank Teal for sharing tonight and putting this into play because it's not easy to take a new curriculum and make it happen, especially when you're on your own. There's nobody else in our school doing it to work with. So thank you.
Well, it's super fun. Thank you for everybody giving it a chance because it really is. I mean, it's not a magic wand, it's still a day's work, but and yeah, some pictures make it look way quieter than it is. But that being said, it's given me like a different energy, excitement for continuing on and teaching and so on. And hope for these kiddos that it creates a different love that you need to sit in your chair and find the right page on a workbook because that's not kindergarten to me. To not be told to do that is such a gift.
Thank you, but the credit really does go to Angela Drury.
Yes.
Kindergarten preschool.
That's a big part.
She's the one who
She found it.
Yeah.
Very good.
Thank you for letting me take so much time. I was like, oh, 5 minutes sounds long. I
Could have listened for longer.
I'm gonna make you listen for 2 minutes longer because I have something I have to share and I didn't tell you I was gonna do this, but you have to live with it. This is a really cool thing and it's also extremely disappointing for me. So I received an email a month or two ago that shared that we had one of our teachers nominated for regional teacher of the year, and it was Teal. And well deserved. And as I went through the email, it said that they were sending her, and this is just ridiculous, and I'm not going to go off on it like I want to, but they request that she fill out an application to be the teacher of the year, which makes no sense to me. The email says we will be sending it to her. So shared with her that she'd been nominated, looked for the email, never came. I got back in touch with them, and evidently it's something that goes through ODE as well, and someone did not send out the email, and it did not make it through, and they've already been to the process of receiving the applications by a deadline, which again, I'm not going to get started. But they shared that, well, we could put her in nomination for next year. And I said, well, then definitely do that, but you've dishonored her and her nomination, but also the person that nominated misses out too. So I just wanted to recognize that, nominated for Teacher of the Year and well deserved.
Yeah.
If you want to hear me complain and moan, come see me
Make your
later.
lines.
There's way too many lines.
Yes.
You're right.
You make a line for every word.
It's just one little silly story from today, because there's always a bunch. They had kiddo come in, very upset at the transition from PE in, which is kind of a moment of the day. They came in and they go, oh, so-and-so was just running like they passed me in the line. I'm so mad. And it's always a busy transition. So Raymond's brilliant. She goes, well, why don't you, since we're all busy, why don't you sit down? Because it's graphics time, so our boards are there. So why don't you write about your feelings? So she thought she's probably just going to draw a picture or something. But while everybody's drawing, it's a kind of a free choice, free draw moment. They can write whatever they want, draw pictures of, construction things. There's a lot of machine drawing going on right now. And we're about ready to start the real part of the day, the graphics. We're going to practice some letters and music's going to come on. And we look over and we go, what did you draw? And she had done perfect lines, and she'd written, I am so mad. He ran in the hallway. I am so mad. Wow.
Felt better and had a good rest of the day.
Mr. Miller. Remember your lines.
So I do have a question, and at one time I had heard that they actually have tools of the mind, because we have the preschool and then there's the kindergarten, and I had heard that it actually goes a couple more grades higher. Do you know anything about that, Skydra?
I think it goes all the way through K-5 or preschool through 5th grade. As far as I know, I haven't looked into it. Have you or Angie looked into it?
I haven't looked into it. I feel like they also give us some really good professional development, like whole day off school style stuff, but it's really thorough. It's great. And I feel like Leslie, my coach, mentioned it. It's just not, it's like even less.
It's like a deep, dark secret. I mean, to even try to find information on it.
Like that preschool and K is starting to jump on board across the country. And I'm not all for learning gimmicks. I don't like when the pendulum swings in education. I don't like, oh, this is the cure. If we make the kids all write lines, they're all going to be great writers. I don't believe in that. I've had to say that to parents when they come in, they might be doing some funny lines, and I'm not saying it's the magic trick. I don't know what that'll look like for some in first grade. It's going to cause a little bit of confusion, or, I don't know, but I do see that growth. And so, yeah, I think that there is, if there's parts of it that go through the upper grades, that would be amazing.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have to, you can stay and watch the rest of the meeting if you.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, wow. Are you leaving, Lee?
Yeah, I'm leaving, sorry. I thank you for releasing the keel, and I think this is so fantastic.
I just want to say, because I know you come from early childhood special ed,
Yeah.
and if you're ever in Gold Beach, come visit our Head Start classrooms, 'cause
Okay.
we're doing it
Yeah.
at the preschool lesson. And you will be amazed at what you see them doing. You see us.
Good luck with your meeting.
Okay, reports, student representative.
I'm back. It's been quite a while since I last talked to you guys, but I know a lot has changed, like the phone rule. It's kind of been lenient during lunch, we're allowed to have them back. And I think that's going great, honestly. Like, I don't know about you guys that in the school, but even during lunch, sometimes I'm walking around like I don't even see a phone out. Like even with the phone or restriction lifted, we're still socializing and we're not even on our phones. Sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, give me my phone right now. I forgot. And I never do. And I think a lot of people do that. I think it's going great. And we are having prom this week. It is April 26th. We're gonna have it at the Cheese Factory, country theme, so it kind of fits well with Cheese Factory. And then last Friday, somehow everybody was happy. And so we decided at the end of the week during second period, we were just gonna do a little fun day. And so we got all sorts of activities out. We had the what's it called? You grab the parachute. We grab the corner and everything. And we had all the seniors like get under it and do the thing where you trap yourselves under, and we just kind of like relived our kindergarten days and we're almost graduating. And there's so many fun activities. And Rusty, she did a demonstration of a game. I don't remember what it's called. Hakamoa. It's like a chicken fight, and that was super popular. People loved that one. And it's like you grab one leg, you can grab either leg, you can grab with either hand, and then you fight somebody, and like you have to pull them out of the circle, or if you let go, you're out. And it was so fun, and it was just great, and everybody had a fun time. The teachers were doing it.
Is anybody able to grab both legs?
So, but that was awesome. A couple Saturdays ago, we had the soccer that goes down there, and we had a bunch of fundraisers. The freshman class did a can drive. There was a huge pile of cans, huge, and I think that was super successful. The seniors, we did some concessions that went great, and we were selling flockings, which is, I don't know if any of you don't know about it, but we take flamingos and you give us some money and we'll go put it in your friend's yard for like 4 days, and we just spread them out wherever we can, and we call it a flocking. That's fun. And all the fundraisers went great. I think the soccer games went great. It was just a great day, nice and sunny out, a little windy, but we live on the coast, so track, we just had the pre-fontaine. Just been doing all sorts of things. And I think we're in the making of our spring fling for ASB. And that's kind of like the week before our last week of school, but it's the seniors' last week of school. And so we do kind of a bunch of fun activities. And then at the end of the week, we'll do a water day. And we just have fun activities outside. We're trying to do another water day. So we'll have, like the past, we've done little slip and slides for like kickball. And each you can slide into the bases, which is a big old pool, and that's super fun. And so super excited about that. But yeah, I mean, if you guys have any questions about anything that's going on in the school, our board of pictures is we have a guitar that people use all the time during lunch and break, and all the time. Now we have a little keyboard. So we get in all sorts of things to keep us occupied. But yeah.
They play them here or they put them out?
They play it in here, but we have a senior that comes in here all the time and just is playing the guitar, and he does good. Kind of teaching himself at school. It's pretty fun. But if you guys have any questions, if you want to ask me anything.
How many Fridays until the graduation?
Well, there's 50 days until graduation. I think there's like 9 Fridays left. I'm not sure. I'm not counting down the days.
All right.
7. There's 7 days left. Fridays left.
I was like, it's about this time of year with all my kids, they had a countdown going, like, how many days, how many weeks, how many hours?
I do not, I'm trying not to think about that, but. Yeah, it's getting close. This is my second to last board meeting, I think. So, thank you for the plaque. I'll use it for the next, yeah. Very appreciative.
Thank you for having it be.
So,
Yes.
Tell what's going on. Being so enthusiastic about this.
so does your senior class have ideas about a senior trip or anything? Or is that something that you're not gonna do this year or?
We do have plans. We're planning on going to Idaho and we're going to, what is it called? Silverwood. It's Silverwood and it's half theme park, half water park. And then we're also getting an Airbnb, which has like a game room in it. So we can all like still be together and have fun when we're not at the water park, theme park. So we're gonna do that May 16th through the 18th. We're gonna come back and be in school, but it's just gonna be super fun. Really excited about that.
Have you checked on out-of-state travel yet?
Yes.
You guys are gonna have a blast. It's a really fun place.
Yeah. We are all getting our real IDs, even if we're 17, we're like, by that time, we're still pushing it to just get it just in case. So we're all doing that. It's going good.
Awesome.
Any other questions?
No, I just like to say I love your reports. It kind of creates that whole vision of what high school can be like, which is, it's really fun to hear.
Thank you.
There was a lot of photos of the Friday Fun Day on
Yes.
Facebook too, which was really fun to see all the kids having like a great time. If anyone hasn't seen those, they're really fun. Like a
It
good
was
time.
really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of kids had fun. We did a senior tug of war too. That was fun. So. Yeah, I think that's it.
All right. Well, thank you.
You've done a good job all year long.
Yeah. Had a long week last week with Jack, so. Going to bed very early tonight.
Sleep well.
Thank you, guys.
Take care.
Right, Erin, you're up. Bye, Teal. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good night.
Okay, so in your packet, you have my report. I don't have a whole lot to add to it. One thing I did want to share, though, is that this last Thursday and Friday, Shane and I attended the Oregon Small Schools Association Conference. It was a good conference overall. The very last presentation of the day was probably the best. Shane put together a presentation and it was accepted by them for the week in regards to our electives and our Friday electives. And so he did a really good job of explaining what we do, how it came about. It was at the very last session of the day on Friday. So some people have left already, but we had 4 or 5 districts there and they had good questions. And I'm pretty certain from the questions that 2 of them asked that they're going to be looking at how they can implement. And then the other piece to that is there is a COSA conference, the Confederation of Oregon School Administrators. We have our big annual conference in June in Seaside, and Shane submitted to share there, and we will be presenting there also. And I say we, I was Vanna, and I advanced the slides. Actually, I didn't even get to do that because he had it on his phone, but he did a great job. I'm looking forward to being there for the COSA conference in June too.
You did an offer.
Well, I wasn't on the ticket with my name on it for this. Well, I might have.
Remember, thank you slide.
Let's see. I think that's all I have to share. I did want to make sure that I had mentioned, we did receive a grant from the Oregon Department of Forestry for our orchard. Did I share that with you last month? It was about $51,000. We've had some good meetings, getting things planned. And Ms. Tomko's right over here. She's the one that we put it together as a grant. She's going to be doing all the work with the kids. And we should see some of those things happening over the summer with fencing and such, but the installation of the trees and everything is going to be next fall and the spring, depending on the most optimum time to plant. And then the last thing that I have for you is I do have dates to remember for things that are coming up between now and the next board meeting. Let me mention prom, there's a karaoke night coming up on Thursday. We do host our only home track meet next Tuesday afternoon. So if you can make that. And then the one other thing I wanted to share and have you comment on a little bit was Thursday, May 1st, Academic Showcase Day. What happens with that? Or you may have that report.
I was gonna add to mine, yeah, but what that is going to be, so that day we already have in partnership with Curry Electric, the sort of science / STEM fair. In fact, Mr. Brown will be one of the judges for that. And so they're already making, so seventh grade will already be making some presentations and presenting some projects to those judges. And so there was some discussion with the staff at the end of last year, what if we did an academic showcase day and included everybody? And so we're hoping for is from 5 to 7 that evening, we'll be opening up our building. There's going to be an art show, including smart work from Driftwood Elementary as well, going on at the gym. Right now, kids are signing up, letting us know what projects they're going to be presenting. The idea is, the hope is that most, if not all, students will present something, whether it be a wood or welding project, a piece of art, a cool poster board they did for Miss Carlton, something they grew and with Miss Tomko, something that they are proud of, that they have done here at the school. So we've got a spreadsheet out to be encouraging students to sign up for something that they've done in one of their classes. And it's just an opportunity for the public to kind of come in and see what we've done academically this year at PHS with all of our grades. And so looking forward to it. We just should see how this one goes, and if it gives us something to build on for next year as well, and see what we do with that event.
Driftwood students will be showcased here.
The art, yeah.
And so that's all I have for you. And you don't have any questions, I'll let Shane keep going with his.
Well, I do have a question. On the time capsule. So it has the class of like 2002. Are they coming? Is Joel Foster coming?
They are the ones that I was in contact with. Tyler Tronson, I think is her name. She's been my contact. I don't know that the gentleman that made it is going to be here, but his father is. And they weren't quite sure exactly how that was going to go, exactly the time, but they are coming on that day to open it up, look at what's in the time capsule, and then the pirate is going to go away with the time capsule, and we'll be looking at potentially putting something else there. Looking for art or CTE or someone to come up with a good plan and get another mascot type piece up there that is representative of pirates.
Okay, thank you for that information.
Not a whole lot to add to my report. As I say in the report, right now, we are getting into the thick of our state testing season. We want to thank Benita Stout for sort of organizing that, getting the schedule laid out. It's not an easy thing to do to find testing spaces and scheduling out to get everybody's test done when those windows are open and making sure we're getting everybody done on time. She's absolutely made that happen. So really, really grateful to her for that. But we're in the thick of that. So we'll start to have some data ready probably by June. Is when we start getting some test scores back, perhaps a little later, depending on the performance task results. But so that is what we are in the thick of with that. One thing I did not put on my report, our drama club will be putting on a Midsummer Night's Dream. That will also be taking place in May. They are looking at May 17th with some contingent dates possibly for the 16th and 18th. And those are going to be some outdoor locations, including at the park in Port Orford. So Shakespeare in the Park, put on by our drama club. So something to look forward to there. But other than that, to tell you the truth, it's just that time of year where it's just, we're wrapping a lot of things up with the seniors, and not a whole lot to report other than what I have on there. Any questions?
Thank you. And congratulations on your presentation.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, the transportation report is included in the packet. Technology report is included in the packet. The financial report is included in the packet. Are there any questions about any of those? Okay, seeing no questions, moving on to new business, approving the academic calendar for the 2025-2026 school year.
Okay, so in your packets, you received a draft copy of 25-26 calendar. It is the option that is being recommended to you from the calendar committee, which consisted of teachers, administrators, classified, so it's a representative group. Believe this calendar meets our needs in terms of the contractual days for teachers as well as student contact days.
Description hours as
and instructional hours. So we're meeting everything there. There was a question that was brought up about in the contract, we have an agreement to provide a grading day at the end of each semester. And there was a question about that, but there is a grading day at the end of the first semester. There are 2 other full grading days in there. The requirement is to have a half day twice a year, and we have 3 full days in the year, and there is a half day at the end of the year that is not designated as a grading day, but it is a half day for teachers to work on that. So I believe this is a good calendar. It is the only option that was recommended by the committee. They did not have a 4-day week option, which I shared with you, I think, at the last meeting, why that did not happen. I believe there is a group of the same committee will be looking at a potential 4-day option for next year, so you may hear about it again. But for this year, this is what we're presenting as an option, and it does meet all the requirements for a good calendar, and ask for your approval.
So I have a question.
Yes.
I'm assuming that the Fridays are the half-day Fridays again?
Yes.
So what are like the times of, like what time will they be getting out on Fridays?
They'll still get out at the same time, which
Yep.
is
1 o'clock here at PHS, 12:30 at Drift.
All right, thank you for that information.
one other note. January 5th, when we get back from winter break, that first day back we have put in as a professional development teacher workday. So we'll a couple, 3 of those hours for professional development. The other 4 or 5 hours are for prep and planning time. And after a 2-week break, we want our teachers and staff coming in and really working hard to get their plans ready and not just come back after been off for 2 weeks. They'll have a day in their classroom, ready for kids before the kids come back. So that was an intentional piece, and it looks a little different than in the past.
I move that we adopt the proposed 2025-26 calendar.
I will second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve the draft of the 2025-2026 school calendar. Is there any more discussion? Seeing no more discussion, all of those who approve, please raise your hand. It's unanimous. All right, our school board timeline and update. We seem to be right on schedule. Continue moving along with that calendar. So,
Do we want to talk about the June 16th meeting?
we can, since we are talking about our calendar.
Yeah, it came out at the budget committee meeting that we have at least two of you that are not going to be here on the 16th, and that's an important date because we would be approving the budget in theory, unless something changes in the schedule there. But we would be not approving, you would be adopting the budget. So having three of you there would work if we would have a quorum, but 3 out of 5 on a meeting night like that.
That's also a CSAC conference, just throwing that out there as well.
So there would be a fourth
And I need
person
my
that would
band
not
on
be
stuff.
here.
Well, I am on a Amtrak train trip. I'll be back on the 15th if the Amtrak train is on time, but if you ever read the California Zephyr Lovers of Train page, they are consistently late.
Yes.
So
So you're banking on getting an extra vacation day or two.
I'm banking on being back, even if it's late, but it may not be by 5:30.
You have Wi-Fi on the train?
No. Because that train comes across the mountains from Klamath Falls to Eugene. So I should be back, but I cannot promise I'll be back.
And I'm going to be in Europe, but I can check my schedule, and if possible, I could call in. I just don't know exactly if I'm on a plane at that time, but I think I'm not.
3 in the morning.
Or, well, that's, yeah, I can wake up, but
What are our options for the day?
Camera on? No.
Options for other days would be completely up to the board with, I think that.
Does anyone have anything
June.
going on the 23rd, which is the following Monday?
I do.
yeah, I'm also gone. I'm available up before that date, but
Me
not.
me
that
as well.
Monday.
What about the 9th? The Monday before?
I can do the 9th.
June 9th.
Off last year.
I did, and I wasn't one of them, because I think I was on a train trip then too.
Every year,
That's right.
right?
Yeah, it was us.
Nominated.
That sounds like me.
That's why Corinne remembers it. Do you remember? Did you hear that in her voice? You nominated me.
I did. Out and clear.
How about you, Bob? Are you good for the 9th?
I think so,
All right, and Angel and Carol? Okay, is that something I need to entertain a motion for changing the calendar?
I believe so.
All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I will move that we move the June 16th board meeting to the 9th so as to allow the rest of the board members to be here.
And budget.
Where did we budget?
Oh, board of budget.
Okay,
And I will second.
all right, I have a motion and a second to move the June scheduled meeting of June 16th to a new meeting date of Monday, June 9th. And adjust our board calendar accordingly. All of those in favor? Unanimous?
Any members?
Yeah, can we let them know?
Yes, we will.
Yeah. Right, first reading of policies.
Judy, can I mention something? Carolyn and I discovered this, since the last first reading. OSBA has since received communication from the U.S. Department of Education that previous rules issued in 2020 under Title
9.
remain in effect now. So what that means is we're gonna keep, there are 3 policies, we're gonna keep what we had. So we pulled out the AC, so that's not in second readings. We pulled out GBN, JBA, JFE. No. Yeah, JFE, and we put in a new one. Yeah. So there are 3 policies that have been pulled out and 1 put back in. And so the only first reading you have is the JFE. It's a new version from what you read last time. This is confusing, I know. And the second reading, cross out number 6.
All right, so right now we're at the first reading of policies, which is the JFE. So are there any questions about it?
I have a comment on policies because this policy thing just completely confused me, which drove me to dig around on the OSBA website. But I found out that if you go into like the member services policy, they actually have for board members a little policy webinar that comes out like quarterly. And so they walk through a lot of the policies. And there's also a list that kind of has a high level, like what's going on with these policies. So you can actually find out from them, why are they making the changes? Yeah, it was really.
And that was
really
where
helpful.
at? In
It's in
member?
OSBA. You go to, I can send you a screenshot of where it is, but it's like member resources or something, webinars, policy, and then there's.
Can you send it to
Stephanie?
Stephanie so that she
Yes,
can
I
send
will.
it to all of us?
Those webinars sometimes, so I'll send you the information.
Okay.
So that was really helpful to me because I couldn't make sense of what was going on here.
All right, so there's no action to take on the first reading. It's just the time for questions and discussion. Hearing no questions or discussion about the first reading policy, we will move on to the second reading policies. Of which number 6 has been crossed out.
It was just removed.
Yes, with all the things happening at the federal level, they were saying they were going to make changes to Title IX. But it has been determined that those changes are not going to impact happening in Oregon, and things still stay in place.
We're staying with the policy that we have, so there's no need to.
Okay. And I'm just thinking to make sure that I asked this correctly. And did that have to do with like the Oregon Department of Education and like some of the stance that the Oregon Department of Education has taken concerning some of the federal policy changes?
It has to do with all of those things, and the ODE in conjunction with OSBA and COSA.
Okay.
They're all working on that together. But the memos that I saw, well, there were memos, each organization actually sharing the same thing.
Mhm.
But the ODE one is the one that's the most critical because they're the ones that oversee what we do.
Yep. Okay.
Do we want to go through these policies one at a time, or do you want to do a blanket? Motion or
That's a board decision to make.
You could
I-
frame the motion
Oh,
however
okay.
you like, I
okay,
believe.
okay.
Yeah, and then when we call for discussion, if a person has one they don't want to approve, then we could discuss it and amend the motion.
I will move that we accept the policies listed in the second reading with the exception of line item number 6, which has been pulled.
And I will second the motion.
Okay, I have a motion and I have a second to approve the second reading policies except for number 6, which has been removed. Is there any discussion?
My discussion is on the one that has been removed. So I removed my question, but I'd still like to have a discussion.
Okay, I lost you.
That's okay. It was the one that was removed where we had actually a dialogue about it, and I was wondering if you learned anything more about that one specifically, if that was due to statute of limitations or some other.
No, I did not learn anything about that immediately. It was just that there was a law that went into effect in November that prompted the change, and then there was a lawsuit in January that unchanged it. And so by the time we went to adopt it, it was already reverted back to what it was before November. So
it doesn't matter.
So yeah, so I still don't know the answer to the immediately, but it's not an issue for us anymore. So for now. I did learn, I could just throw this out, that those first 3 policies listed, the changes on those were all driven by all of the different leave programs, that those different programs were very entangled, and there's been some changes that kind of prise them apart. And so the changes in those policies just make distinct the wording in the policy, which leave program applies to which situation.
Is there any more discussion? Okay, seeing no more discussion, I have a motion to approve the second reading of the policies, except for line number 6, which has been removed from the list. All of those who approve, please raise your hand. It's unanimous. All right, do we have any word comments or anything like that?
Oh, yes, I do. I had actually 2 comments. One was just, I think Aaron copied us on a letter that he sent out to our state representatives, and that made me think we had mentioned at one time maybe inviting David Brocksmith to come to a meeting, and I think that might be an interesting thing for us to do to build that relationship. So I was going to throw that out as an idea to the board. And then along those same lines, I was also thinking that, and I don't know what timing would be good, but Wendy Baird, who is the director of South Coast Head Start, might be really interesting for us to invite her to a meeting sometime just to share a little bit about Head Start. And maybe now's not a good time because of all the uncertainty, but if you guys are all interested, I would be interested.
I feel like that would be hearing from the horse's mouth on certainty, what they would actually know. That's somebody who hoped to have educated opinions.
I saw something that the fire department did recently, and I kind of wanted to maybe mention it and something that we could all think about doing. Ashley Bussman with Wally's House goes around and kind of gives presentations about recognizing signs of child abuse. And so she did a presentation to the fire department because they are mandatory reporters. I didn't know if that was something that maybe we would be interested in, as we are mandatory reporters as well. It could be some sort of additional education that we could do. I don't, I haven't reached out to her or anything like that. I just thought I'd bring it and see if that was something we were interested in. And I don't know if that needs to be like a public thing or what we would do, or if we're interested, but just something I thought was cool.
Okay. So I've heard ideas, but I'm not hearing from the other board members. So I need to know, are you, yeah, that sounds great. No, that's another meeting. So, or somewhere in between.
Us and the public, especially if they were able to share.
So I'm hearing a yes to talk with Ashley about Wally's House. And would that be a public speaker that comes in and presents to us, or would that be a workshop? Because I'm thinking that the
Would be
amount of
for you to determine.
it would be more workshop type thing where there would be time to
think
really discuss it.
So, but I like the idea of making it public still so that anyone who wants to come in and hear about it could have the option to.
Every
All
one of your
workshops have to be
workshops
public.
and meetings is
Yeah.
public,
Right.
so that portion would be taken care of and it would be recorded and sent out and you could invite people and publicize it.
I can talk to her and see what the options are and that I.
Okay, so you're gonna follow up with Ashley?
Yeah.
Okay. And then I didn't hear like a yay, no, on Carol's either. So what is your thoughts about Carol's idea of invited David Brock Smith to come and also at some point inviting Wendy Baird to come?
Like, I would like to hear about from Head Start.
Okay.
Just to be better informed about the program.
The kids are gonna end up here, right?
Okay, so on that one, it's kind of a gray area for me to reach out to Wendy Baird because she is the person I work for. So, so in a lot of ways, I mean, I can talk to her and say, hey, do you want to come? But because of the school board and
Yeah.
those lanes and stuff, it probably would be better if someone else called and made that approach to
I
her.
don't mind calling, or if you can send me contact.
Okay.
I just have to comment and thank you for doing this the right way because I've seen, people have questions and they go and talk as the board to ask somebody to come in and talk. And it really is, you have to be a board to agree to ask them. So I just thank you. Doing the right thing. Thank you.
You're quite welcome.
I think that someone reaching out to David Smith is a good idea too.
Okay.
I had also assumed that would be an update within our correspondence in the superintendent letter.
I have not heard anything back from David, and from Boyce, I got a thank you. Thank you and keep advocating for your school.
So is there someone who wants to contact David?
I can give it a try unless Bob just volunteered.
Not interested.
Okay,
Okay, you can, Carol?
I can't.
All right. Okay.
The name's right. You remember 5 years
What are you talking on?
on
What?
your email.
Oh.
Okay.
Unless you want all the principal stuff.
No, I don't.
Is there anything else on board comments and reports? Then going through the rest of the agenda, we're going into executive session for ORS 192.660 for evaluating our top exec.
I don't know where this fits in the board meeting, but earlier we talked about Miss Wendell being the principal at Driftwood and you being the principal here and Mr. Stallard helping with vice principal duties. And then Miss Stout staying as the special education director. I was wondering what, is Mr. Stallard the vice principal? Is it one school or 2 schools? And what are those duties and responsibilities?
So.
Or if it's just helping, what are the reduced duties and responsibilities?
So that would be a question that would go to your district administrators because the board, that is out of what the board's lane is. We don't get to determine those kinds of things.
Okay.
So
Yeah, so if you talk with Shane or I, we can share that with you.
Okay, thank you.
And it's not that it's like private information, it's just, it's out of the boards.
I understand.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Because those are reports. Is there anything that we want to know about this adjustment? Driftwood Elementary Principal, or would that be included that as well?
So what's your question?
Just that those were included from both of your reports.
Yes.
Is there anything that we should be considering with that?
No, it's a slight budgetary impact, but it's kind of a wash with some of the change within the financial part of it. But it's again ensuring shoring up the fact that we have a full-time administrator in the building. The addition of the life skills teacher who also oversees resource room and special ed, gives us special ed support full-time all day long in both buildings. That's the change.
So just the South Coast ESD, we now have those positions for our SPED umbrella,
Yep.
the administration.
The administration is just shifting title to move Miss Wendell into the full principal role. And then we'll still have a full administrator in each building, but each one of them will be a principal and still be working together to coordinate service and how we put programs together. But Lisa will be on, she will be the principal for Driftwood and Shane will be the principal at the high school.
We'll be looking forward to extra reports.
Yeah, if Miss Wendell, you will have one extra principal report.
More reading.
More people, right? We get it.
You'll at least get one more each meeting, yeah.
Boil it down for us.
Yep, we're ready to go into executive session. Okay, I declare us back into public session. We're muted.
Nope, we're good.
Okay, I declare us back out of executive session and I am open to a motion to adjourn our meeting.
I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn this meeting tonight.
Well, second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion,